This week's passage comes from Acts chapter 4, where we learn that in the early church there was no needy person amongst all the believers, and that the believers would sell fields and things so that they could share their possessions with each other, no one claiming that anything belonged to them. God is a good and generous God. He's outrageously generous to us in every single way. And when we give, all that we're doing is giving back that which already belonged to God in the first place. And so we too are called to be generous. At the end of the passage, it talks about Barnabas, who sold a field and laid the money that he got from it at the apostles' feet to distribute as they needed to. Barnabas is a great example of generosity. He was generous in selling his possessions, and we find out that he was generous in his thoughts and attitudes and actions as well. He was the one who introduced Paul to the other apostles whenever they were wary of him. He had a bad reputation, but Barnabas had a good reputation. He was the one who had sold the field and given the money that he had to the apostles. But Barnabas was generous in other ways too. He took Paul and discipled him and looked after him in Antioch. And then he went on missionary journeys as well. And during that time, we see that the way that Luke records the story of Barnabas changes from saying Barnabas and Saul to Paul and Barnabas. Barnabas was generous in being willing to take second fiddle to Paul. Also, we find out that Barnabas was generous in forgiving. He forgave John Mark when John Mark messed up on one of the missionary journeys too. And so in this passage, we learn about God's generosity to us and our opportunities to reflect generosity back to others too.